My business was failing, my wife was acting strange, and my 7-year-old daughter kept asking about Mommy's yoga friend in our garage. When I set up a hunting camera, I caught more than I bargained for. He smirked and said, "She's mine now." I smiled back. "Your wife saw the video. My name is Nolan Carmichael. I'm 40 years old, and I run Carmichael Arms Restoration in Millbrook, Tennessee. Used to run it. Anyway, I specialized in vintage firearms, Civil War pistols, antique hunting rifles, family heirlooms. Collectors drove from 3 states to my shop. Then the new gun legislation hit. Overnight, my customers vanished. Collectors got spooked, stopped buying, stopped restoring. 8 years I had Tommy working for me. Had to let him go last month. That conversation still haunts me. "Daddy, why don't you smile anymore?" My 7-year-old daughter Hazel asked over breakfast, her brown eyes staring up at me. I smiled plenty, "Sweetheart." I lied, forcing one for her. Vera looked up from her phone, always checking that thing now. "Your father's working through business stuff, honey. Is that why you and Mommy don't hug anymore?" Hazel asked. The question hit like a sledgehammer. Vera went pale. "Hazel, finish eating. You'll be late for school." After dropping Hazel off, I drove to First National Bank. Again, Mr. Peterson, the loan officer, slid foreclosure papers across his desk. "Nolan, I've extended your deadline twice," Peterson said with that banker's mix of pity and professionalism. "The bank needs payment, or we start proceedings." "Give me 2 weeks," I begged. 3 restoration jobs coming next month." Peterson shook his head. "Decisions made upstairs." "I'm sorry." Walking out, I felt crushed. My phone rang. Vera calling from the real estate office. "How did it go?" Hope and fear battled in her voice. "Not good. We need to talk tonight." Long pause. "Okay, I'll get Hazel from aftercare." But when I got home, Vera's car was gone. Hazel was at a friend's house. Sudden sleepover, according to the kitchen note. Vera rolled in after midnight, smelling like wine, mumbling about a work event. I should have known then. When everything's falling apart, you convince yourself the people you love will stay solid. Sometimes you're dead wrong. 3 days later, everything changed forever. The next week brought more bad news. My biggest client, Colonel Henderson, called to cancel his Winchester restoration. Said he was liquidating assets and downsizing his collection. Translation: even the rich folks were getting nervous. I was in my workshop, cleaning a 1911 Colt that somebody might actually pay me to fix, when Hazel burst through the door. "Daddy," she said out of breath. "Mommy's friend is here." "What friend, honey?" I asked, not looking up from the pistol's mechanism. "The man from her yoga class. He brought flowers." My hand stopped moving. "What man from yoga class?" "His name is Sage," Hazel said innocently. "He's really tall and has a fancy car. Mommy said to tell you she's showing him the garden." I set down my tools carefully, trying to keep my voice steady. "How long has he been here, sweetheart?" "Just a few minutes." Mommy seemed really happy to see him. Through my workshop window, I could see them by Vera's rose bushes. Sage Blackwood. I recognized him now from a yoga studio when I'd picked Vera up once. Tall, athletic, wearing clothes that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. He was standing closer to my wife than any yoga buddy should. "Hazel, go inside and start your homework," I told her. "I'll be there in a minute." "Are you mad, Daddy?" "You look mad. Kids see everything." "No, sweetheart. Just need to finish this work." But I wasn't mad. Not yet. I was something worse. I was suspicious. And once that seed gets planted, it grows fast. I watched them through the window for 10 more minutes. Vera was laughing at something Sage said, touching his arm, leaning in close. Body language I hadn't seen directed at me in months. When I finally went inside, Sage was gone. Vera was in the kitchen, humming while she made dinner. Actually humming. When was the last time I'd heard her hum? "Hazel said you had a visitor," I said, trying to sound casual. "Oh, that was just Sage from yoga class," Vera replied without looking at me. "He was in the neighborhood and wanted to drop off some information about a meditation retreat." Meditation retreat? It's in Asheville next weekend. Just a girl's thing. But I'd seen how she looked at him. That wasn't a girl's thing look. That night, after Hazel was asleep, I tried to bring it up gently. "This Sage guy seems nice," I said. "He is," Vera replied, still not meeting my eyes. "Very spiritual, very centered, and single." Now she looked at me, and I saw something flash in her eyes. Guilt, anger, I don't know, Nolan. We don't discuss personal lives in yoga class. But she was lying. I could tell. After 17 years of marriage, you know when your wife is lying. The next morning, I found myself doing something I'd never done before, checking Vera's phone when she was in the shower. My hand shook as I scrolled through her messages. There it was. Dozens of texts to and from Sage. Nothing explicitly inappropriate, but the tone was wrong. Too familiar. Too intimate. See you tonight. Can't wait. S. Me too. This is crazy, but I've never felt so alive. V. My blood ran cold. Tonight? What was happening tonight? I heard the shower turn off and quickly put the phone back where I found it. When Vera came out, towel wrapped around her, she was glowing in a way I hadn't seen in years. I'm working late tonight, she announced. Don't wait up. On a Thursday, big listing came in. Lots of paperwork. Another lie. I could taste it. That evening, I drove past her real estate office. Dark. Empty. Her car nowhere to be seen. The foundation of my world was starting to crumble, and I still had no idea how bad things were about to get. Friday morning brought another blow. The landlord called about my shop rent. 3 months behind. Eviction notice coming Monday. I sat in my truck outside the bank, staring at the foreclosure papers, when my phone buzzed. Text from Vera. Working late again tonight. Don't wait up. Something inside me snapped. 17 years of marriage, and she couldn't even lie creatively anymore. I drove to Hazel School for pickup, my mind racing. When she climbed into the truck, she was unusually quiet. How was school, sweetheart? Okay, I guess. She buckled her seatbelt slowly. Daddy, can I ask you something? Always. Yesterday, when I was playing the yard, I saw Mommy and that man Sage in our garage. They were hugging for a really long time. Is that normal for yoga friends? My hands gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. What else did you see, Hazel? They were talking really close, like whispering secrets. And Mommy was laughing the way she used to laugh with you. Out of the mouths of babes. My 7-year-old daughter had just confirmed what I'd been afraid to admit. Hazel, this is important. Have you seen Sage other times when I wasn't home? She nodded solemnly. 3 times this week. Once he brought flowers. Once they went into the house for a long time. I was watching from my bedroom window. That evening, I made a decision that changed everything. After tucking Hazel into bed with extra stories and hugs, I set up the old hunting camera I used for tracking deer. Hidden it in the oak tree, overlooking our backyard with a clear view of the garage and back door. If Vera was bringing him to my house, to the home I'd worked 15 years to build, I was going to have proof. At 9:30, Vera texted. Still at office. Big client meeting ran over. At 10:15, I heard a car in our driveway. Through the front window, I watched Sage's black BMW pull up. Vera got out of the passenger side, laughing at something he'd said. They went straight to the garage, my workshop space, where I kept my tools, my gun safe, everything that mattered to me professionally. I wanted to storm out there and confront them. Every fiber of my being screamed to defend what was mine. But I forced myself to wait, to think like the Marine I used to be. Gather intelligence first. React second. 20 minutes later, they emerged. Vera's hair was messed up, her blouse wrinkled. Sage had his arm around her waist like he owned her. The hunting camera got it all. Saturday morning, I reviewed the camera footage on my laptop while Vera slept in and Hazel watched cartoons. The evidence was damning. Not just the physical intimacy, but the casual way they moved around my property like it belonged to them. I spent the morning in my workshop, cleaning weapons and thinking. By afternoon, I made my decision. When Vera announced she was going to her yoga class, I knew better. Actually, I said, I thought I'd come along today. Meet this Sage fellow properly. Vera's face went pale. Oh, it's advanced class today. You wouldn't enjoy it. I'm feeling pretty flexible lately. I replied, looking her straight in the eye. She stammered excuses, but I was already getting my keys. Come on, honey. I insist. The drive to the yoga studio was silent except for Vera's nervous fidgeting. When we pulled into the parking lot, I didn't see Sage's BMW anywhere. Looks like class is canceled, I said calmly. Maybe he's running late, Vera mumbled. I turned off the engine and faced her. Vera, do you want to tell me where Sage really is? Or should I call him myself? Her shoulders sagged in defeat. Nolan, I can explain. Can you? Can you explain why my daughter watched you and him in our garage yesterday? Can you explain the text on your phone about feeling alive for the first time in years? Tears started flowing, but I felt nothing. The hurt would come later. Right now, I was operating on pure tactical thinking. How long? I asked. 2 months, she whispered. In our house. She nodded. In our bed. Another nod. I started the truck. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to call Sage and tell him to meet you at our house in 1 hour. Tell him I'm taking Hazel to my brother's for the weekend, so you'll have privacy. Nolan, what are you? Do it, Vera. Or I drive straight to your mother's house and show her the camera footage. Her hand shook as she made the call. Sage agreed eagerly, probably thinking he was getting a romantic weekend. I dropped Hazel at my brother Mike's place, told him I had some business to handle. Mike took one look at my face and didn't ask questions. When I got home, Sage's BMW was already in my driveway. I could hear voices from the garage, my workspace, my sanctuary that they'd turned into their private playground. I walked in quietly. They were so wrapped up in each other, they didn't hear me approaching. Sage saw me first. Instead of shame or fear, he actually smirked, like he'd been waiting for this moment. Looks like we've been caught, he said casually, not even stepping away from my wife. Then he said the words that sealed his fate. She's mine now. I smiled back, not because I was happy, but because I knew something he didn't. Your wife saw the video. Sage's smirk disappeared faster than snow in July. What video? I pulled out my phone, tapped the screen, and showed him the footage from my hunting camera. There they were, clear as day, using my garage like their personal love nest. See, Sage, funny thing about technology these days, I said calmly. Security cameras are everywhere, including the one I sent to your wife Elena this morning. Vera gasped. Nolan, you didn't? Oh, I did. Along with screenshots of your text messages and a detailed timeline of your affair. I looked directly at Sage. Elena seemed very interested to learn about your yoga activities. Sage's face went from confident to panicked in seconds. You son of a... Careful, I interrupted, my Marine training keeping my voice level. You're in my house, with my wife, using my property for your games. I'd watch my tone if I were you. Vera started crying, but I felt nothing. Not yet. The hurt would come later, after the tactical situation was handled. Elena's filing for divorce Monday morning. I continued. Her lawyer's already frozen your joint accounts. Apparently, adultery affects alimony payments in Tennessee. Who knew? Sage pulled out his phone frantically, probably trying to call his wife. No answer. She's at her sister's place in Memphis, I said helpfully. Changed her number. Smart woman. Nolan, please, Vera begged. We can work this out. It was a mistake. A mistake. I laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. This was calculated. Planned. You brought him into our home, Vera. Into the space where our daughter plays. That hit her hard. Good. Sage was pacing now, realizing his comfortable life was crumbling. Look, Sterling, maybe we can make a deal. The only deal you need to worry about is explaining to your construction company why their married project manager was caught on video having an affair with a client's wife during work hours. His face went white. You wouldn't. I smiled. Watch me. By the time they left 20 minutes later, Sage looked like a broken man, and Vera was sobbing in her car. I stood in my garage, surrounded by the tools and workspace they'd violated, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Control. For the first time since my business started failing, I wasn't the victim. I was the one making moves, calling shots, determining outcomes. I picked up my phone and called my brother Mike. How's Hazel doing? Good. She's helping Sarah make cookies. You okay, Nolan? You sound different. I'm getting there. Can you keep her one more night? I have some cleanup to do. Mike understood without asking details. Whatever you need, brother. The next step was getting my affairs in order. If Vera wanted a divorce, she'd get one. But it would be on my terms, with my evidence, and with my lawyer. Sunday morning, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee and Elena Blackwood. She'd driven down from Nashville after getting my video, and she was nothing like I'd expected. Where Sage was all flash and surface charm, Elena had substance. Smart, direct, and absolutely furious at being made a fool of. 15 years of marriage, Elena said, stirring her coffee with shaking hands. I knew he was having midlife crisis issues, but I never thought he'd go this far. How long have you suspected? Since February. New clothes, new cologne, working late constantly. When you sent that video yesterday, it all clicked into place. Elena opened her purse and pulled out a folder. I've been documenting everything since I got suspicious. Bank statements, credit card receipts, phone records. Sage has been spending money like water, flowers, dinners, hotel rooms, all charged to our joint account. I studied the paper she spread across my table. He took her to the Hermitage Hotel. That's $300 a night. Last weekend, while I thought he was at a work conference. Elena's voice was bitter. My money paying for his affair with your wife. We sat in silence for a moment. Two people whose lives have been blown apart by the same selfish choices. What's your plan? I asked. Divorce. Take him for everything I can get. 15 years of building a life together. And he throws it away for what? Some excitement. Elena looked around my kitchen, taking in the family photos, the kids' drawings on the refrigerator, the evidence of a real life being lived. What about you? She asked. And your daughter? That was the question keeping me up at night. Hazel's my priority. Everything else comes second. Smart man. Elena gathered her papers. My lawyer says with video evidence and financial records, I can probably get the house, half his business, and substantial alimony. Good. He deserves whatever he gets. Elena stood to leave, then paused. Nolan, can I ask you something? How are you so calm about this? If I'd caught my husband like you caught your wife, I'd probably be in jail for assault. I thought about it for a moment. Maybe it's my military training. Maybe it's because I saw this coming and had time to prepare mentally. Or maybe I'm just too tired to be angry right now. Well, your composure saved both our marriages from dragging out. Thank you for the evidence. After Elena left, I called my lawyer, Jim Morrison, not the rock star, just a good divorce attorney who'd handle my business contracts. Nolan, sorry to hear about this mess. Elena Blackwood's attorney already contacted me. Sounds like you've got a solid case. What kind of timeline are we looking at? With video evidence and documented adultery? Tennessee's a no-fault state, but adultery still affects property division and custody. I'd say we can have papers filed by Wednesday, preliminary hearing within 30 days. And Hazel, with evidence of your wife bringing her lover into the family home, plus your stable employment history and community ties, you'll get primary custody, no question. After hanging up, I sat in my empty house and felt the weight of what was coming. But underneath the sadness and betrayal, there was something else growing. Hope. For the first time in months, I was taking action instead of just reacting to disasters. My business might be failing, my marriage might be over, but I still had my daughter, my integrity, and now a plan. 3 weeks after serving Vera with divorce papers, I got a call that changed everything. Detective Ray Collins from Metro Nashville PD was asking if I knew anything about Sage Blackwood's business dealings. What kind of business dealings? I asked, sitting in my workshop where I was restoring a 1943 Springfield rifle for a new client Elena had referred. Financial fraud. His construction company's been billing clients for materials never delivered, workers never hired. Elena Blackwood filed a complaint when she discovered forged invoices in their home office. This was news to me. How much are we talking about? Conservative estimate? $500,000 over 2 years. Thing is, Mr. Carmichael, your wife's name appears on several bank documents as a co-signer. My blood went cold. Co-signer for what? Business loans, equipment purchases, even a property lease in Memphis. Did you know about any of this? I didn't. But suddenly Vera's insistence on handling our finances made sense. Her secretiveness about our bank statements, her evasiveness when I asked about our savings. Detective Collins, I think we need to meet in person. 2 hours later, Collins sat across from me in my kitchen while Hazel played in the backyard. He spread out documents that painted a picture I'd never suspected. Your wife signed loan guarantees totaling $200,000, Collins explained. When Sage's company defaults, which it will, since the money's gone, the banks will come after anyone whose name is on these papers. Can they take our house? If her name's on the deed, potentially yes. I felt sick. Not only had Vera cheated on me, she potentially bankrupted US in the process. There's more, Collins continued. Sage has been running this scam with at least 3 other women we know of. Married women with assets he could access through romantic relationships. You're saying he's a professional con artist? Among other things. We found evidence he's done this in Atlanta and Birmingham before moving to Nashville. After Collins left, I called Jim Morrison immediately. Jim, we have a bigger problem than adultery. Vera may have signed documents that could cost us everything. What kind of documents? I explained what the detective had told me. Jim was quiet for a long moment. Nolan, this changes our divorce strategy completely. If Vera signed fraudulent loan documents, we need to protect your assets immediately. Can you get to the bank today? What am I looking for? Any accounts with both your names, any credit lines you didn't authorize, any documents with your forged signature. At First National, my worst fears were confirmed. Vera had opened a line of credit using our house as collateral. She'd listed my income as co-applicant, but forged my signature. Mr. Carmichael, the bank manager said nervously, this credit line is maxed out. $60,000. Payment's 3 weeks overdue. I stare at the documents. I never signed these papers. Are you saying these signatures are fraudulent? I'm saying I've never seen these documents before in my life. That evening, I called Elena to warn her about the detective's investigation. I already spoke with Detective Collins, she said. Sage cleaned out our joint savings before he disappeared. $200,000 gone. He's disappeared. Left town yesterday. Nashville PD has a warrant out for his arrest. I hung up feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. Not only was my marriage over, but my wife had helped a con artist steal our financial future. The next morning brought another surprise visitor. Vera showed up at my door looking haggard, desperate, and scared. Nolan, we need to talk, she said, glancing around nervously like she expected police cars to appear. About your fraud charges? Or about the $60,000 you stole using our house as collateral? Her face crumbled. You know about the loans? I know about everything, Vera. The question is, what don't I know yet? She followed me into the kitchen, where Hazel was eating cereal before school. Hi, Mommy, Hazel said brightly. Are you coming to live with us again? Not right now, sweetheart, Vera said, her voice breaking. After I dropped Hazel at school, I returned to find Vera still sitting at my kitchen table, staring at her hands. Where's Sage? I asked directly. I don't know. He said he had to go handle some business matters. That was 5 days ago. Business matters like fleeing fraud charges. Vera started crying. I didn't know Nolan. I swear I didn't know he was stealing money. He told me the loans were for legitimate construction projects. You signed papers using our house as collateral without telling me. He said it was just temporary financing, that we'd make money as investors. I sat down across from her, studying the woman I'd been married to for 17 years. Vera, do you have any idea what you've done? We could lose everything. Our house, our savings, Hazel's college fund. Can't you fix it somehow? You're good at fixing things. The naivety of that statement almost made me laugh. This isn't a broken rifle, Vera. This is fraud. Criminal fraud. My phone rang. Jim Morrison. Nolan, I've got news. The bank reviewed those loan documents with a handwriting expert. Your signature was definitely forged, but Vera's signatures are authentic. What does that mean? It means you're not legally responsible for those debts. It also means Vera could face charges for participating in a fraud scheme. I looked at Vera, who was listening to my side of the conversation with growing panic. What happens next? I asked Jim. The bank files insurance claims for the fraudulent loans. The police continue their investigation, and you proceed with divorce proceedings to protect your assets from any future liability. After hanging up, I explained the legal situation to Vera. I could go to prison, she whispered. That depends on how much you knew and when you knew it. I need a lawyer. Yes, you do. A criminal defense lawyer, not a divorce attorney. Vera broke down completely then, sobbing about how sorry she was, how she'd been fooled, how she just wanted excitement in her life. Vera, I said quietly, I need you to leave now. Hazel will be home from school soon, and she doesn't need to see you like this. Can I see her? Can I at least say goodbye properly? I thought about it. Despite everything, Hazel loved her mother. Supervised visits through the family court system. That's the best I can offer right now. Nolan, please. I know I messed up everything, but she's my daughter too. Your daughter, who you put at risk by helping a con artist steal our home equity. Vera gathered her purse with shaking hands. I'll find a way to fix this. The only way to fix this is to cooperate with the police investigation and hope the prosecutor believes you were a victim too. After she left, I sat in my empty kitchen and realized something important. Despite the financial disaster, despite the betrayal, despite everything, I felt stronger than I had in years. For the first time since my business started failing, I wasn't just surviving someone else's choices. I was making my own decisions, protecting what mattered, fighting for my daughter's future. Whatever came next, I'd face it head on. 6 months later, I sat in a Nashville courtroom watching Sage Blackwood get sentenced to 5 years in federal prison for wire fraud. Vera sat 3 rows behind me with her public defender, waiting for her own sentencing hearing. The prosecutor had been thorough. Sage's scheme involved 4 different women across 3 states, totaling nearly $2 million in fraudulent loans and stolen assets. Vera's cooperation with the investigation had reduced her charges to accessory after the fact, but she was still facing 18 months. Mr. Carmichael, Judge Harrison called. Would you like to make a victim impact statement? I stood up, straightening my tie. Elena had suggested I dress like the respectable businessman I was, not the betrayed husband. Your Honor, Sage Blackwood didn't just steal money from my family. He stole my daughter's sense of security. For months, she watched her mother lie and sneak around, not understanding why her family was falling apart. I glanced back at Vera, who was crying silently. The financial damage was significant. $60,000 in fraudulent loans, legal fees, credit damage. But the real cost was teaching my 7-year-old daughter that the people who were supposed to protect her might be the ones putting her at risk. Judge Harrison nodded. Thank you, Mr. Carmichael. After court, Elena and I had coffee at a downtown cafe. She looked healthier than she had in months. The stress lines around her eyes had faded, and she'd gotten a short haircut that made her look younger. How's the new business going? She asked. Better than expected. 3 new clients this month, all referrals from satisfied customers. The insurance money from the fraudulent loans had allowed me to modernize my workshop and expand into custom gunsmithing. Turns out, wealthy collectors appreciated quality work and were willing to pay premium prices. And Hazel, she's doing great. Sees a counselor once a week to help process everything. But she's resilient. Kids bounce back faster than adults. What about Vera? I thought about the supervised visits, how awkward they become. She'll serve her time, probably get out in 12 months with good behavior. After that, we'll figure out what kind of relationship she can have with Hazel. Elena stirred her coffee thoughtfully. You know, I never properly thank you for sending me that video. It saved me years of living a lie. We saved each other. Elena smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her since this whole mess started. I have something to tell you. I'm moving to Denver next month. Fresh start, new job. Good for you. The thing is, she hesitated. I was wondering if you'd ever consider visiting Colorado. The mountains are beautiful, and I think Hazel would love the hiking trails. I looked at Elena, really looked at her. Strong, honest, someone who'd faced betrayal with grace and dignity. Someone who understood what I'd been through because she'd lived it too. That sounds nice, I said. Maybe this summer, when Hazel's out of school. Some endings, I was learning, were actually beginnings in disguise. 1 year after catching Vera and Sage in my garage, I stood in that same space watching Hazel help me organize my new tool cabinet. The workshop had been completely reorganized. New equipment, better lighting, and most importantly, new memories replacing the old ones. Daddy, can I help with the next gun? Hazel asked, carefully sorting screws by size. It's not a gun, sweetheart. It's a historical firearm that needs restoration. What's the difference? Intent, kiddo. We're preserving history, not making weapons. Hazel nodded seriously. At 8 years old, she understood more about integrity and purpose than many adults. My phone rang. Elena calling from Denver. How's the mountain air treating you? I asked. Clean and crisp. Perfect for thinking clearly. How's my favorite gunsmith? Business is booming. Just landed a contract with the Tennessee State Museum. They want me to restore their entire Civil War collection. That's wonderful. And Hazel, see for yourself. I handed the phone to Hazel, who launched into an excited description of her science fair project about simple machines. Elena listened patiently, asking questions that showed she genuinely cared about my daughter's interests. After Hazel went inside to start homework, I took the phone back. She adores you, Elena said. You know that, right? The feeling's mutual. She's been asking when we're visiting Denver again. Well, I have news about that. My company is opening a Nashville office. They've asked me to head it up. My heart jumped. You're moving back to Tennessee? If I take the job? The question is, would a certain gunsmith be interested in having dinner with a certain consultant who's learned not to trust smooth-talking men? I laughed. I think that could be arranged. After we hung up, I walked through my house, really looked at it. The family photos have been updated to include pictures of Hazel and me at various father-daughter activities. The refrigerator displayed her school artwork, and a calendar showing our weekend plans. Vera's things were long gone, but the space didn't feel empty. It felt clean, purposeful, ready for whatever came next. That evening, Hazel and I made our traditional Friday night pancakes for dinner, a tradition that had started during the dark months when I was learning to be a single parent. "Dad," Hazel said, pouring syrup carefully on her stack, "are you happy now?" "What makes you ask that?" "You smile more, and you don't make that worried face when you look at bills." "Smart kid." "Too smart." "Yeah, sweetheart. I'm happy." "Are you?" "Mostly. I miss Mom sometimes, but I like our life together." Vera had been released from prison 2 months ago and was slowly rebuilding a relationship with Hazel through supervised visits that had gradually become unsupervised afternoons. She was different now, humbler, more grateful for small moments with her daughter. "Mom made mistakes," I'd explain to Hazel, "but she's working to fix them. People can change if they really want to." That night, after Hazel was asleep, I sat in my workshop with a cup of coffee and looked at the restoration project on my bench, an 1860 Colt Army revolver that had belonged to a Union cavalry officer. History, I'd learned, wasn't just about preserving the past. It was about understanding how broken things could be made whole again, how careful work and patience could restore something to its intended purpose. My phone buzzed with a text from Elena, looking at flights to Nashville for next weekend. "Think you and Hazel might be free for dinner." I smiled and typed back, "We'll make room in our schedule." Outside, the Tennessee hills were settling into spring, and for the first time in years, I was looking forward to whatever came next.